After a 3-week wait, we're finally here back again at Assen for the second round of the IDC Championship. The weekend started with the Friday, and on Friday we had 5 practice sessions, of which the first 3 sessions were cut short, either due to code 60, where everyone has to ride 60 kilometers an hour around the track because of an accident happening, or a red flag, which just means the end of the session. However, the 4th session was finally a session where I could use the whole track time, so the whole 20 minutes. And because of that, I was able to find a good rhythm, finally get in decent laps, and to come up with good feedback for the team, for them to make some adjustments heading into the next day. On the 5th session, we were already trying to make some adjustments per sector or per corner, and it was looking quite good until the 2nd lap, when all of a sudden I had a huge mechanical failure. There was oil leaking out of my bike, so I had to stop the bike immediately, go onto the service road and wait for help to come. Coming back to the box, we found out immediately that it wasn't good and that we had some serious repairs to do. It wasn't sure if we could ride again for Saturday. However, the team managed to pull through, and they worked a lot of hours during the night to be able to get the bike ready for the morning. And huge props to them, because they spend a lot of hours, they spend a lot of time and effort to have me back on the bike immediately again in the morning for the first qualifying. So I was able to ride in the first qualifying, however with a very compromised package. We weren't able to use the same engine as we did on Friday, which meant that there was less horsepower for me to work with. Nonetheless, I was still able to improve on my PR, which I set last race weekend. I immediately 6.5 tenths quicker, which was a huge relief. I was in P1 for a couple of laps during the session, dropped down to 4th eventually, sadly, but nonetheless very happy that I was able to improve after all the setbacks after Friday. After waiting for around 3 hours, we were able to go back out again for the 2nd qualifying. The weather was really nice all day, but in the morning it was still a little cold. So now with higher temperatures, I was able to use a different compound of tire, a softer compound, which meant I could push a little more. Going out of the session, I had a little more traffic, which was an obstacle for me on the track. I wasn't able to find that good of a rhythm, and thus wasn't able to improve on my lap time that I set in the first qualifying. I also think that I was a little more aggressive in the first qualifying, because I thought to myself that with a standard engine I had to push more, And looking back at the data after the second qualifying, it was clear that I opened the throttle way earlier, quicker as well. And that just cost me a little lap time in the second qualifying, and thus I wasn't really able to improve on my lap time again. However, my lap time was still good enough for the fourth starting place, and looking back on that, I'm really happy that I equaled my result that I had last race weekend, which was also a fourth place for the starting grid. So second row for the starting procedure again. In between the second qualifying and the race, I looked over all the data, compared the second qualifying to the first qualifying, pinpointed exactly where I still made mistakes. And for the race, my goal was to just fix those mistakes, to tie the lap together, and to hopefully not lose the connection with the front guys, so that I was able to keep up with them, maybe see how they are going into the corner and improving from then on. Half an hour before the race, I was getting into my focus zone, put on my headphones, listened to some music while I was putting on my suit. For the last time, I went over all the points that I had to think about during the race, and from that point on was just getting into the focus zone, getting into my headspace and preparing myself for the starting procedure. And rolling up to the start, I was a little nervous because I wanted to still have a good start, even though I already knew that the bike wasn't going to be picking up as fast as it did before. However, I was really surprised when finally the lights went out. I was still able to overtake someone, and I was just right there. I was right there with the front guys in third place. Was able to follow them for the whole lap. Did my best lap ever from the very start, and from that point on I only thought about staying in their rear wheel to not lose the connection with them. Eventually I had to give in a little. The gap expanded slightly every lap. Sometimes I made a couple of mistakes. Could get back sometimes. However, after a while the elastic band just snapped a little, and from that point on I had to eventually let go. However, I was at that rear wheel for way longer than I did in the first race, even though I had the worst bike. So looking back, really happy and surprised with the progression I still made, that I still was able to make a lot of progression even though the circumstances were far from ideal. That being said, I still have so many points that I can focus on for next race, and I'm nowhere near being done with learning the new bike. So I'm really excited to getting things going again in just 2 weeks now, so the wait is a little shorter. In between that time, I will go to England. I will travel to the BSB opening round at Alton Park, and I'll be able to take a look about how the big guys are doing it, and hopefully I'll learn something from them. That being said, I'm really blown away about the fact that the last video has done so well. Only 3% of you guys are subscribed, so if you're willing to follow more about my journey, leave a comment and tell me what you want to see next. Maybe a tour of the pit box, tour of the buttons on the bike. I will try my best to explain everything, and let's roll on for the next round.